welcome to the DevReady Podcast. We're helping non-techs build better tech. Today we're joined by Gavin Reddrop. Gavin is building the businesses tomorrow is one of his statements, but doing a lot in the world of technology, a lot in the world of AI, and I think it's going to be an interesting conversation how we might implement AI into businesses and talk a bit about startup as well that is involved in. Gavin, thank you for joining us.
No worries, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, happy to have you on board. So as we spoke a bit offline, you sort of released an AI book towards the end of late last year, and then you've got a bit of a story to tell about that. What happened a week later?
So I sort of been working with some people and spoke to a few guys, and they're like, geez, you need to write a book on all of this. So I smashed out a book in about 3 weeks flat, 10,000 words or so, but little one, and published it on Amazon. Got everything live and all excited, and then I think it was about 2 weeks later that GPT-4 came out and pretty much made everything in the book irrelevant, which seems to be the case with AI at the moment. Everything moves such rapid pace, and it's one of the joys of going through the AI revolution.
Yeah, so you've got probably a good solid background about AI and sort of machine learning a bit of before, not just the chat stuff. What was the book about?
Yeah, so the book is ideally aimed at trying to help business owners be able to start that automation journey and start to understand how automating simple processes can free up their staff time and their own time for entrepreneurs and startup founders. So it's very surface level on sort of focused around that automation aspect and how to use OpenAI APIs and that to start automating things, simple things like social media responses and replying to messages, emails and those kind of things, just to speed up those everyday tasks that take a long time and quite painful and time consuming.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone has seen when that ChatGPT, so November, December, and then when GPT-4 came out, just how much it can actually do for you in that just general emails, social media content, anything like that, ideas for scripts and videos or podcasts.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a great brainstorming tool, really, as well. So being able to use it to bounce ideas off. I know my missus gets sick of me just rambling about stuff that she doesn't understand. So I use ChatGPT instead.
Yeah, it's good to ask it questions and get questions asked of you as well, to then just give more information or help you think about things. I think that's the experience Andrew and I have both had. It's put information in, but then get it to be the other opinion of something.
Absolutely, yeah. It's great to enhance those sales skills and even for pitch decks and those kind of things for startup founders, to be able to get it to ask what questions might come up during a pitch, just so you can start thinking differently.
So with along with the book, so you had what got you into sort of the AI space before that? So you said you were working on it and people encouraged you to write the book. What got you into that?
Yeah, I've really sort of been involved in the tech space for pretty much forever. I straight out of school in the military as a communications technician, did about 8 years there, and then moved into the corporate world in IT space. Wasn't big on the corporate space, really wanted to start building my own businesses and had that entrepreneurial itch. So I'd been in helping businesses, mostly with websites and social marketing and all those kind of things. So the AI growth that was sort of we were seeing 12 months ago, 18 months ago, was really around the using it for those simple things, the creating blog posts or ad content and all of those sort of things, ad copy and that. So I'd been exploring that, and then moving into the startup space, we were looking at creating, initially we were looking at a recruitment tool, which got me deep into it, which was aimed at trying to help recruiters sort through resumes and that in a non-biased way. So that's why I really sort of dove deep into the AI sort of side of things, and just since then been fully into it, and working on another startup at the moment with which is a climate tech solution, which is utilizing AI to help solve some of those problems.
And that would be more in sort of, I think, from what you mentioned earlier, like the big data play in analytics recommendations.
Yeah. So we're looking at really trying to help enterprise level sort of companies understand and manage their climate data right throughout the supply chain, so from end to end. So we'll look at the scope 3 emissions right up to the scope 1 and 2.
In the world of enterprise compared to startup, what are you finding? Very different, are
they? Very, very different. I think enterprise is a funny beast. It's always been one of those things that it was, it's such the companies that are in this space, and I use Google and that as a comparison, but if you look at the likes of Google and that, they're just such a dominant sort of beast over the last sort of 5-10 years with the way Web 2 sort of come through. And I think if you look at the impact that AI has had on flipping the script for those guys, so even the founders of Google have gone back into Google after sort of retiring and coming out of retirement, and these big companies are starting to act like startups again. They're going back to that, fast, agile release of product. They're getting things out quickly. So even they're feeling the impact of that AI is having across the board. So there's definitely a big difference between startup space and AI and enterprise space in the way AI will have an impact. But I think the startup space for me is a lot more fun because you can sort of do things a lot quicker and really sort of try and flip the needle on a lot of things. And with the big companies, the corporates or enterprise level, they are slower moving generally, but we're seeing that change a lot at the moment with AI. So that in itself is exciting as well. Watching seeing these big companies almost go back to their roots and go, okay, well, we used to do this really well. We had to do this once upon a time. How do we bring that in to a 500 plus people organisation?
Yeah, it becomes a very different proposition, but I think everyone's aware that they need to be doing something in the space.
Absolutely.
And if you're not, then you're falling way behind in terms of what's going to be coming. The next 12, 24 months are going to be always evolving, and they always are. But I think the rapid speed has been very different, especially over the past 6-7 months, where everyone's getting the feel as to what can I do with this stuff, how can I use it. Some people have tried it and just walked away from it. Others have really embraced and said, okay, how do I explore this further? What could it really change in a business? You can go and change, like you said, when you look at, from a book perspective, incremental process stuff, but in effect, you could embed AI across all of your processes and really transform your business. There's a lot that can be done and achieved if you're willing to invest in this right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think the big key takeaway from that is just making that start and getting something done in that space where ticking off one little component that's that takes a lot of time, and you may have to spend a bit of time researching, understanding and learning and implementing, but once you've done that once, it becomes a lot easier for the next thing and the next thing and so on. And then over a period of 6-12 months you can replace a lot of the manual processes that are within a business, and and that's every business across every industry.
Yeah, a lot of incremental change makes a huge difference over time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Taking you a little bit back to your roots, you mentioned you're in the military. We'd love to understand what you learned from that experience. 8 years there is quite a good chunk of your life. I'd love to understand and get some insight as to what you learned from that experience.
I loved it, to be honest. That's why I stayed 8 years, I guess. But straight out of school, joined up, had no idea what to expect. Just knew I wanted to do some stuff in the tech space, and figured the military would be one of the most advanced leading sort of areas to go into for that space. Quickly learnt that wasn't the case when we started learning Windows 95, and Windows XP had been out for 5 years already. So it was definitely an eye-opening experience, that part. But really good. Enjoyed it. Got posted around all over the country. Got to do some exciting stuff up in Darwin, out on patrol boats with the Navy, and because I was Air Force, so got to do a lot of inter-organisational stuff. And then eventually found myself in Canberra working in a basement, Maxwell Smart style thing where you go through 12 different levels of security to get down into the basement. So we were working on some computerized weapon systems, and it was more state-of-the-art tech. But a lot of the journey and a lot of that process and learning was trying to implement new systems and new ways into the existing old legacy systems and creating that merger between the two. So I think that's where I got my my ability to be able to see different things and work out ways to join them together and make things interconnect across different platforms and different systems, and just having that real understanding of how technology works and how it can interact with each other.
It's an important piece, especially the integration of technology. There's so much just power in looking at that from one standpoint, let alone ripping apart business processes. Just understanding that, all right, one piece of technology can push data from one to the other. Simple stuff to do.
Exactly.
And make people aware of what's possible.
Yeah.
But then if you think of, say, like the Air Force and military as an organization, having that many people involved, swapping from one thing to the other, like you said, from 95 to XP, would be a huge process and a huge culture change to try and implement that and then train everyone as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, while they may have certain cutting edge things in the basement where no one knows it exists, I'm sure the rest of the organization is going to be like bureaucratic like the rest of any other organization, and just have those levels of control and process management that have to be enforced.
Yeah, absolutely. And, at the end of the day, it's a government organisation. Government's always a little bit slower with things, and as a government organisation with a really heavy layer of security stacked on top. So every system goes through its processes to be able to be really stress tested to the max before it gets authorised to go in.
I'm sure Vista never ended up in
No, we didn't see Vista.
I'm sure it never got there, yeah.
Or ME.
Like it wouldn't have got enough runway or traction to say, yeah, we can use that, because it just wouldn't have passed the muster.
It wasn't out long enough.
Yeah, correct.
It's a 10-year cycle for the upgrades.
Yeah.
I think we implemented XP just about a year before they pulled back support on XP. So,
Classic. Brilliant. In terms of if I'm an SME listening out there looking to engage in the world of AI, where do you think a good starting point is for them? Yeah,
I think in general it's just learning what's possible and getting an understanding of stuff. I think a first point is obviously ChatGPT and that sort of space, and just asking questions, bouncing back and forward with it, getting an understanding of what the output can be and what's possible, and learning the difference between what you put in and what you ask versus what you get out. So I think that's probably the best, or the easiest place to start, and then from there really just start questioning what could be replaced. And I don't mean like replaced as in replacing people, but I heard a great quote actually earlier today. I was watching a thing, and he said the AI isn't about replacing your workforce. If you've already got a good workforce, it's about enabling them to maximize their capabilities and their skill sets by leveraging AI as a tool for them to use. So I think it's, just enable your staff to get involved. A lot of people are already exploring this sort of space, and within your organisation, you could have people who are not necessarily experts, but have had enough playtime on it to be able to understand it and start to get their head around what's possible. And at the end of the day, everybody's starting at zero with AI, so everybody is learning at the same time, and you're not behind by starting now, and you're not in front by starting 6 months ago, because everything moves so quickly at the moment. It's just being involved in it as much as possible, I think, is the best way to start getting in that headspace.
It's just getting exposure, right, to anything new.
Yeah.
And demystifying what it is as well, I think, is quite important, because people are somewhat fearful, the people that are out there, but just getting understanding what the technology actually is, how it works, engaging with it, just gives a release of fear. But One of the things you said there around helping employees, I think as people, we're generally good, or every single person's good, maybe one, two things. And then we do a lot of other stuff that we're not that good at. So
Yeah.
the other stuff is where you want to be focusing on how can we get AI to help? Because we all got some sort of superpower as people, and everyone's different. And I think if we can hone in and get people spending 80% of the time in what they're great at, and then AI can assist with the rest, it's going to leave us all in a better place. And enjoying work more, and really enjoying how we're contributing. Because if we're contributing from a place of what we love doing, it's a much better outcome for everyone. So if we can get everyone to that place, I think that's what the power of AI can deliver. That's the positive outlook. But yeah, there's also the other side of things of where it might challenge people in jobs and roles, and that's going to happen, like any technology does.
It's more letting people focus on the better quality tasks, not just those very simple, repetitive things that just are part of a job that no one likes doing.
Yeah. You mentioned, Andrew, targeting that 80%, and 100% right. It's that 80-20 rule approach of, it's aim first at that 80% that takes up most of your day that only delivers 20% of the result. And
correct.
If you can replace that component, it frees you up not only, like you said, mindset wise as well as skill set wise. You've got that freedom to do what you love. And if you can get 80% of your time back to focus purely on what you love, you're going to be more productive, more energetic, you're going to love going to work more because you're doing your passion. So I think 100% spot on there with the aiming at that 80%.
One of the things that Anthony has said with working with ChatGPT and some of the stuff that we're doing, it reduces his brain damage. We do a lot of thinking.
That's the good way to the best way I've been able to put it so far.
It's just a funny way to phrase it, because if you're in complex places and also thinking, ideating, problem solving all the time, it's a difficult role. But a lot of people in these roles, in those consulting spaces, and if you can get support or a bit of help to start the thinking for you or give you other things to think about, it just makes things a lot smoother and easier as a person. So that's where we're seeing some really big value.
I agree. It's actually an area that I've sort of been looking into for myself, is around that second brain model and using it to really take the load off of yourself. And I think the key to that is capturing information and capturing as much as you can. And I think one of the biggest advantages for myself with AI is I drive back and forth to Melbourne quite a bit, and it's an hour and a half drive for me. So during that time, I just hit record on my phone and record my brain dumps of thoughts and ideas and stuff like that, and then have AI convert that to text, process it, analyze it, get the key takeaways out of it, take away the action steps, and you're left with ththis much instead of an hour and a half of thoughts.
Meeting with yourself.
Exactly. You just have a little chat to yourself the whole way down, and make sure you put a headphone in so you don't look insane driving along talking to yourself. But it's a really powerful way to capture information and data.
I've never thought of using it that way. I use it for meetings, but never thought just to capture your main stream of thoughts.
If you've got that time to yourself, it's great.
An hour and a half drive, there's plenty of time to kill. Listen to a podcast, have a conversation with yourself.
It's like a self-assessed podcast that AI then analyzes and puts in some takeaways. It's great.
I would, for me, ChatGPT obviously is a text-based interface. I set up my mic and I just record and talk into it and just have a conversation with it. I find that interesting. That helps me. I'm more of a creative that thinks out loud, so I need to talk. I just need to have a conversation. Some people are more. Anthony's probably more the guy that will read a blog post, where I can prefer to summary at the end of it.
Right, quickly.
So
I'm definitely an audiobook kind of guy, so I can relate with the talking instead.
So if anyone's in that frame, just set up a mic and speak to it. Download a plugin to Chrome and just you can talk straight into it. Or there's probably a plugin these days into ChatGPT itself.
Windows has it as well. It's built into Windows to do text to speech. Speech to text, sorry.
Some are better than others, though, depending on the tech. But just a thought on that. In terms of your current startup, what you're working in, let's dig in a bit there. You're a part of the Antler program, I believe?
So finished up with Antler now. But I was part of that program for the last 8 months.
I'd love to know about your experience with that process. What was that like?
Yeah, it was good. It was really eye-opening to the startup space. So, I'd gone through a bit of a personal journey. 2021, I found out I had bowel cancer, had to go through surgery and chemo and all of that sort of stuff, and came out the other side of that, got the all clear. And during the process, I'd sort of sold off, other businesses and small things that I had going on, and closed down a lot of the stuff that I was doing. So I was in this space of a fresh start where I was like, shit, now what do I do? Like, I've got all this new time capacity that I didn't have prior, and I was like, I've got to do something that's bigger. I wanted to do something that was more scalable, bigger than a small sort of. I'd been dabbling in retail and small sort of stuff, but never really gave myself permission to open up and expand in a broader headspace. So I was actually looking for jobs on LinkedIn at the time, and it came up as a suggested job. So I was like, oh, this sounds perfect. It's it's startup program, kind of like a accelerator program, I guess. I'd heard of Y Combinator, but didn't realize there was anything like it in Australia. So it was really good to go through that process and meet a whole heap of like-minded people, people who from all walks of different backgrounds, different expertise levels, different niches, and bring all of that together. It was really, really good. So met a lot of great people along the way. Started a few different ideas, went down the path of testing and seeing what's going to work and what's not. So going through that process alone was really good as well and beneficial to be able to, I've always sort of focused on the fail fast type model where, get something to market quickly, see if it's going to work, and then, readjust and change from there. But this was really done in an accelerated pace with people giving feedback on pitches and all that sort of stuff. I'd never done pitching before, so going through that process was really good and exciting. And that's where I met my co-founder, Catherine. We're building Cedar. It's called Cedar.Earth. So it's a climate tech platform for enterprises to be able to manage their entire supply chain of carbon emissions, and using AI to create or to analyze that data and provide recommendations and actionable steps to actually impact climate change instead of data is only useful if you take action from it. So having AI process that data, understand it, and provide actionable steps that will genuinely impact the environment it's exciting.
It sounds like there's a lot of value in the people through Antler, because you mentioned about 6 times the people.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot of value in that like-minded people, and getting around like-minded people that want to strive for something bigger, do something different, solve bigger problems. Yeah. I'm always interested in where the idea comes from. So for Cedar, where did it seed? Where did it stem from? Were you exploring the space and found a problem? Where did it sort of come from?
Yeah. Again, goes back to the people. So Catherine, my co-founder, she's an expert in the ESG space, and she works in that space already. So her background is in climate and emissions and sustainability and all of that industry as a whole. So having expert knowledge in that space, and then my background's obviously tech, and she had some thoughts, and she's like, is this possible? Is this something we can build? We just got in a room, brainstormed it out, grabbed a whiteboard, and basically within a few hours we'd sort of mapped out roughly what the solution would be to the broader problem, being that the carbon capture and carbon reporting is all well and good, but unless you're taking action, then there's no impact and no effect. So once we got in a room together and started brainstorming some stuff, we'd come up with merging AI into a climate application and really positioning it as a data analysis tool. So not a carbon capture tool, which there's plenty on the market already. We just want to grab that data that's already in existence and analyze it, process it, and provide recommendations and outcomes based on that. So yeah, that's sort of pretty much how it came about. Having people to brainstorm ideas off and industry experts is really where that value comes in.
It's
having those expert stakeholders, the people in that niche who understand the problems, so you can validate the idea, is critical for any startup, really.
Yeah, and she's working in the industry at the moment, so she's got that field knowledge of and the contacts to be able to really sort of test it or test the waters by going out to her contacts and her other people in that industry to be able to really sort of test the waters quickly. Whereas, even if I'd thought of the idea myself as a tech guy, I could pull it together and make it happen, but then I don't have any industry understanding, so it really wouldn't line up with what the core problems are. So I think having a co-founder or a partner where you can leverage complementary skills, really massive benefit.
Yeah, we normally see there's a lot of hunt for having the tech co-founder, because the person that's in the industry is the one that's come up with a problem. It's not, we don't normally find it the other way around.
Yeah, finding coders is definitely a challenge, and I myself.
You think it would be hard, right?
It wouldn't. Yeah,
no, but
there's how many layoffs in Google every second week and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've got technical background, but I'm not a coder, so. I found that a big challenge where people would go, "Oh, Gav's a tech guy, and can you build this?" And I'm like, "I can tell you how to build it, but I can't actually build it." So, and that's where things like DevReady and that come in as well, where it's perfect setup for that sort of problem solution fit. So,
So you just painted a picture of what founders can do. If you're a non-technical founder, who we're talking to predominantly, finding some technical help, co-founders is one avenue, and generally what we find is those domain experts, they've got a lot of value and a lot of opportunity to give. Unfortunately, they sometimes get let down by the path that they go down. So we have a lot of people come to us. 80% of our projects, unfortunately, are sort of in that rescue vein, where they've had challenges, not sure where to go, and then how do I iterate and evolve from here. Getting that right technical support around you is pivotal up front, and just having a really good sounding board of people that you can trust. So one of the avenues that you can go to Antler, meet some people, connect, get to meet some people who you get along with, because we work with people we like, really, in the end, who we can build relationships with, but also have different skill sets. You need different skill sets in a business.
For sure, I think, just anywhere you can get that connection to somebody else, even LinkedIn, right? Like, that's how I met you guys, was via LinkedIn. It's a powerful platform that's there. It's got a list of everybody's history of what they've worked on, what their skills are, and great search tool to be able to try and identify people in your area that have those skills.
I've been doing some background research. Catherine is in Queensland.
No, she's in Melbourne.
She's in Melbourne. All right, maybe it's different Catherine. All right. I thought I read something. I
was on the fly research.
On the fly research, but that didn't work.
She's Melbourne based, so it worked out really well.
Oh, that's all right then. Yeah, cool. I was wondering, how's that work? Anthony and I hardly see each other anyway. We live in Melbourne. We see each other once every couple of weeks at a client conversation.
We're a bit the same. I've just been in the US for the last 4 weeks, so we've just been doing everything remotely, and it's the powerful. I think that's one good thing that came out of COVID, is that everybody's used to using the tools now to be able to remotely connect and be able to actually. Oh,
it's a massive benefit, isn't it?
So
we were on a podcast this morning for a guy out of Silicon Valley, and it's like, wow, we just connect, have a conversation like we're here and
talking in the past yesterday.
Exactly. That's always funny, but the world is easy to connect with these days.
Even when we had an office, we still had Slack to talk to each other.
Because
everyone's working, so they're in a different.
To each other.
They're in a different frame. They're concentrating. You can't interrupt. And then you just get Andrew and me just yelling at each other across the room, talking to each other. So that's probably the only thing that's changed. But we still do that just routine. You just get random phone calls.
So going into a new startup in a world that you don't know, what's that like?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those things where I've always been really adaptable and being able to jump into different industries, and I call it industry agnostic, but it's probably just a fancy way to say that I don't have my own industry really, sort of thing. Like I've gone from military, government sort of stuff, corporate. So I was IT manager at Mars Chocolate, so working in chocolate factory, to Motorola, working with emergency services, doing all of the dispatch radio network for police, fire and ambulance. And then my wife's got a beauty salon, so I was doing hair and beauty. We bought a couple of hair salons during COVID and that sort of stuff. So I've just had this ability to overlay tech across any industry and any sort of space. And I think the key is just trusting the other person and that it's their special skill area. So anything that comes up climate-wise, I don't even attempt to understand as far as an actual industry level expert. That's where Catherine, that's her realm. So I just fully rely on her to be able to process that information, understand it, and give me the bits that I need to know to be able to do my role. So I think it's important to have your key skill set areas, key roles of responsibilities. Obviously you need to have some kind of passion around what you're doing, because it's got to sustain you over a period of time, especially in a startup space. But if you've got those experts in that really love and live and breathe that niche and that industry, then there's no need for me to fully grasp and understand every single aspect of it. I can rely 100% on her and just focus on what I know best.
And just to add to that, I think sometimes clashing industries together is a bonus. Not coming from the outside in, you're going to ask different questions and different frames and come up with conceptually different ideas as well.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things. We sit in the world of the consulting bracket, where we do work across a variety of different industries. We're working in pharmacy, a little bit in a couple of things in pharmacy, and then we've got some things in finance, and then we also have a cleaning franchise business that we're assisting. So you're learning all these different things about business, but there's one advantage to that, is you come in fresh eyes and you can ask questions, and why do you do it that way? And it can just sort of change the landscape a little bit, and their thinking too.
Yeah, and you can take those learnings from industry to industry, right? A lot of the understanding of the processes and that you can really adapt to every other industry, and that's a massive benefit in that space as well, where you're taking those learnings from a different industry and bringing it across into an industry that may not have looked at it that way or thought about something that way. So it's a win-win across the board.
Generally, people in one place all think a similar way. You get the one that blows everyone out of the water and then takes over because they've done something a bit different, but mostly it is probably because of that reason.
They're all following the same influences in their industry and learning the same things along the way.
So just quickly, now we mentioned that your book may somewhat a little bit redundant because of ChatGPT, but let's reflect on that. What are 3 things out of that book that you could tell people to think about when they're looking at AI that you would say, all right, here's a starting point. What do I do as a business?
Yeah. I think, like I sort of touched on before, I think the first step is just really diving into ChatGPT. Just sitting there for an hour or so, having a conversation with ChatGPT, and you can ask it, what should I do in AI with my industry and my space, and what are some options here and there, and really leveraging that. And then I think the next sort of phase is starting to curate some of that knowledge that you're bringing in for the new stuff that's coming out. And like we touched on, things are coming out so quickly. Like when I was away for the last sort of 4 weeks or so, I came back, I hadn't looked at AI at all for 4 weeks. It was kind of nice, but got back and there was just so much had changed. I'm like, shit, okay, now I've got to relearn everything that's new and what's come out and all of that sort of stuff. So I just locked away a few hours and went, right, I'm just researching today, finding out what's changed, what's new, a couple of Google searches and looking at different blogs and those kind of things to see what's happening in the space, and then merging industry knowledge and those learnings from AI on top of each other. So I think that's where there's a lot of untapped potential at the moment. There's a lot of niche industry experts in a space that shy away from anything new tech-wise because oh shit, that's scary, I don't want to touch it. If you're an industry expert or an industry leader in your space, and you can add AI on top of that and become. I was talking to a guy for an example. So he's a physio expert. Always been in sports medicine and physio. He was asking me how you can utilize AI to help and do some stuff, and he had some thoughts and ideas. I said to him, mate, just dive in deep, become the sports physio AI expert. Like, still keep your niche, keep your space. You don't have to know everything there is about AI. There's way too much for anyone to understand. Across the board, there's so many different things. But if you can really leverage your industry knowledge and your industry skills, and put that AI filter over the top and become really known for that, that's, I think, where there's a big benefit.
Yeah, I think that's good advice for any business, really.
Yeah, stay in your lane. That's
yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Leverage your skills that you already got, and just
agree. Just upskill in one area, or get some people to assist in upskilling that space. But I 100% agree. There's a massive opportunity in the world of that consulting information. How do we do that better? How do we take that expert and maybe scale them out? I think that's where the opportunity is today. Now, there's no right or wrong answer to doing that, but there are ways you can start testing and piloting and seeing what works and what doesn't. We're in the world of everyone's innovating or testing. That's what we're in right now. We don't know what's going to stick either, and what the perfect scenario is. So just testing with what's there, taking advantage of the technology, going beyond ChatGPT. Yes, you can use ChatGPT, but you can look at integrating with OpenAI, which is effectively how you can actually access ChatGPT from other solutions of technology, and the underlying technology of it. But there's so many different ways you can actually engage with it, but just test.
I think another great sort of tool to start with is like your Zapier or Zapier, however you want to pronounce it, depending on where you are. But that and Make, which used to be in Integromat, those two tools, they integrate with pretty much everything that you're already using anyway, and have the integration with OpenAI. So you can do it all, no code, drag and drop, and there's so many tutorials on YouTube and stuff like that to be able to do things and just think differently, connect things up, and
As long as you can connect the dots, you haven't got a problem with that.
Exactly, yeah.
Anthony uses N8N down there. I've never heard of that one.
Which one's that?
Open source one, but that's the only reason we use it. Zapier does get a bit expensive if you have a lot of things running.
Yeah.
But the Make is a little bit, I think it's cheaper than Zapier, but it has exactly the same functionality.
Yeah, I think, $60 a month or something, you can do a lot for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, cancel your Netflix subscription for a couple of months and build up.
Give a go at this and see what I can do for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Gavin, thanks for joining us on the DevReady Podcast. Been exciting, insightful around the world of AI and what you're up to. I think when you're further along with Cedar, come back, talk to us. Love to hear about what some of the outcomes are and how that's tracking,
absolutely.
especially over the next 6 months, and dig more into that experience, because I'm sure where you are now is not where you're going to be in 12 months. Or the solution might evolve quite quickly, which is you need to be open to when you're in this space. So, when you're available, let's keep the conversation flowing. But really nice to meet, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
No worries, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, thanks for having me. Thanks.